Council meetings are now live streamed. To review the council meetings live, go to WCTV NJ's YouTube here and click on channel Township Council Meetings. It's TOWNSHIP Council Meetings. The YouTube live stream will be available to view during the live council meeting. Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of January 19, 2021 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag,
to the flag,
of the United States of
America,
to the republic,
to the republic,
and
one nation,
with liberty and justice for all. Do roll call.
Councilman Cassio,
here.
Councilman Cumming, Councilman DeSena,
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan, Council President Feeney.
Here. Okay, we're just gonna,
Let the record reflect.
yes, hold on one sec. Sorry, I'm just sending Councilman Cummings the invite. Hold on one second. I don't think I can send it now. Okay. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Calamari, Township Administrator Tovo, Township Attorney Poller, and Township Clerk Wachowski. We also have the head of the Green Team here, Tom Sears, to do an update. There's no public service announcement. Sue, right?
No, there is one. Should have been one in your packet.
I didn't
Right
see it.
behind the agenda?
Sorry, yeah, behind the agenda. Thank you.
Sure.
For the public service announcement, January 19th, 2021, coronavirus. For the latest updates and message from our health officer, please visit the Township website. COVID testing. Bergen County has launched a drive-through COVID testing site at Bergen Community College. The program will offer antigen nasal swab rapid COVID-19 tests and provide the results in 24 hours or less. Please visit our website for dates and registration information. COVID vaccination information. At this time, there is no centralized phone number to call. Please visit our website and click on the COVID-19 resources and testing sites for links and further information. Council meetings now are live streamed. Again, to view the council meetings live, please visit the Township website for further information. 2021 dog cat license renewal. Remember, all dog cat licenses are due January 31st, 2021. Renewal letters were mailed December 28th of last year. Please note there is a late fee of $5, which begins on February 1st, 2021. Christmas trees will be picked up at the curb starting January 7th and last about 2 weeks. There is no set schedule for pickup. The DEP reminds us that this time of year that is not permissible to dispose of Christmas trees through open burning or bonfires. Please also let the record reflect that in attendance is Councilwoman Morgan. We just need to pause for a minute. Ricky, can you check the TV? I got a message from one of the residents saying there's no sound.
Uh-oh. I hear you guys fine on this side.
Yeah, actually, I have about 20 people texting me now saying that we can't hear anybody. Yeah, they're saying YouTube and the TV is not on also.
It's working on Cablevision, Stacy. I can hear it in the other room.
Okay. Okay, she said it's getting better, but it's not great. Okay, we're gonna just, is everybody okay if we just start over because the YouTube did not have any sound? And I have like 20 residents texting me saying that they couldn't hear anything. Well, somebody from Cablevision just said they could hear us fine, yes.
I got something for someone on Fios they can hear fine.
Okay. All right, we'll just keep going. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Ricky would like me to let everybody know that was only the live streaming that didn't have audio, and he apologized. It was a technical issue. Okay, just hold on one second. I'm calling Councilman Cummings. He's having trouble getting in. Okay, Councilman Cumming is having a router problem. I'm just going to send him the invite separately, so just give me 1 second. He got a new computer router today. Okay, here we go. Try calling it back. Okay, we'll keep going. He's working on joining. Okay, there are no approval of minutes. Mayor, appointments, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Council President and Council. Please be advised that I am appointing Bill Carroll as a Class 4 member to the Planning Board for an unexpired term ending December 31st, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here. Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome, no problem.
I replaced a router today, so I don't know if the problem's on my end or what it is.
Well, welcome aboard.
Yes, okay, let the record also reflect in attendance is Councilman Art Cumming.
Thank you. Glad to be here, finally.
Okay, we have a presentation this evening from Tom Steers from the Green Team for year-end report and look ahead for 2021 projects. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Steers, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President, and I wish everybody a happy new year. As you know, 2020 was a bad year for all of us, but the Green Team actually did a lot of work during that year. We started Martini Park in the beginning of the year, and naturally we had to halt finishing up, but hopefully this year we will get back there to do the planting and the rest of the cleanup. I have two team members. They will be working on our Safe Street project. Last year, we received silver, and we're going to be working on gold for this year. The Fill It Forward water project for the schools naturally is on hold, and we hopefully to kick that off again this year. During the middle of the year, I got a letter from Crystal Wenzel. She's director of the New Jersey Tree Foundation, that read my proposal on goals and objectives for 5 entities within the township: Lincoln Park, Sherry Field, Gardner Field, Gardner Basketball Court, Clark Field, and tree maintenance on roads. She was very impressed with the write-up. I put in a request for 150 trees from the state of different varieties, the trees that will suit the park area. So that is in a process. We are negotiating and talking about getting the particular trees that were needed for each one of these parks that I did a write-up for. I want to thank the team members for their input on this, and hopefully this can project it and go forward in 2021. I do want to talk about one thing, a statement I made back in 2017, 2018. On IMAPs, we lost 21% of our canopy. Now, the canopy naturally is our tree cover that cools our roads down, purifies our air. As of the last year, we are close to 25% loss of our canopy. We are taking more trees down than we are putting up. And I cannot stress the fact, and I will talk about this later on objectives and things that we should hopefully, I'd like to put forward to stop this migration of losing trees. When the roads heat up, they emit the gases and the chemicals. The trees help purify the air, and we know what the traffic is going to be. We cannot continue on the rate. In the last 2 years, we actually pushed the button to 25%, almost 25%. That to me is very dangerous, and I would like to see more of the community planting trees. There's a list of trees up at Town Hall that the state has approved. I know I see a lot of heritage trees that are coming down around the town. I'm waiting for Bernadette to give me the end of 2020 tree permit and tree report on how many trees that have come down. I have to submit that to the state for our New Jersey State Forestry certification that we will fall under the forestry laws and regulations. So we did have a bad year, but the team is actually working behind the scenes. We are actually going out. We did walk the parks, and I am very disappointed on how dirty the parks have gotten within a year and a half. And I will talk about that later on for 2021. So moving into 2021 now, I talked about the canopy and how that is definitely going to affect the environment in the township. We cannot continue removing trees and not planting trees. That is a very dangerous situation for our health and welfare. Lincoln Park, we did a walk through parks, and we did shut Lincoln Park down because of dangerous amount of trees and limbs after the last couple of storms that we had. The goal for Lincoln Park is to make it a nature park. So we put a word out, and we got some scouts that want to join us to develop some plans for Lincoln Park. One scout is going to do a graded nature trail throughout the park. We'll be working on that as soon as we remove the dangerous trees. And then the second scout, the team had this idea, since there's an abundance of wildlife up in that park, deers, fox, all sorts of birds, rabbits, etc. We are going to ask the community to donate or build 25 bird houses that we can plant throughout Lincoln Park. We'll establish I'm sorry, what?
Can you tell people where Lincoln Park is? Because I don't think they know where it is.
I'm going to share the screen in a minute. Lincoln Park is over for Beechwood, and you can get off it on Jacqueline Court also. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can share a map to show everybody about that. So our goal is, with the Scouts' help, is we're going to try and develop this as a nature park. People can, and the Scouts can build a birdhouse. They can buy a birdhouse, or if you would like to donate some money towards the cause for the brackets, we are going to go up, and the Scouts are going to number the trees. So if you're the first one in, your birdhouse will be on tree number 1. You can go and look at it. We are trying to keep as much of the wildlife in the township because of the amount of trees that we've lost. We have actually given up a lot of the bird sanctuaries throughout the town. The hardest hit part of the town is actually on the southeast corner of the town. That would be Colonial Beach, Fern. There was a tremendous amount of trees taken down during this time frame, and I have not seen the report where all these trees are taken down. And we do understand that naturally damage to trees, dangerous trees, they have to be taken down. My past experience on the board, when contractors and people come before the board and they want to remove a tree, we always ask for an arborist report. And lately we've been getting reports, well, the tree is dangerous. Well, you're an arborist, tell me what's wrong with the tree. You just can't say it's dangerous because it's close to the house. So the board has been very good in focusing on keeping the same amount of trees in the township. So these two projects are definitely going to go forward for 2021. We will be posting all the information going out to the community. And if you want to build a birdhouse, donate a birdhouse, contribute, the paperwork will be out there. We will assign you a number and a tree so you can go up to the nature park and clean it up. We definitely have to go back up to Lincoln Park. I am totally frustrated on the amount of garbage that has now been added back into that park. There is construction debris. There's plastics all over. We as a community, and I say all of us, and even myself, even if you have a dog and you're walking through the park and you pick it up, don't put it in a plastic bag and throw it back into the woods. Please, that is hazardous. It's real dangerous to get these feces because there is a water stream up there. And that water stream does go throughout the park. And I'm going to see if I can share a map. I'm not sure if I can do this here.
Ricky's going to try to put it up for you, Tom.
Okay. Could he, and I use my mouse to show you what we're doing. In 2017, 2018, we took out about 1,000 pounds of garbage out of that park. And that was from I-beams, to barbed wire, to chicken coops, tons of plastic, tons of glass. And I'm saddened to say a percentage of that is back. Also, while we were up at the park, there was a dirt bike and an ATV riding through the park. Now, they're just tearing that park up and it has to stop. So I did some investigation on town ordinances, and 337-4 prohibit activities. It says drive any vehicles upon any part of the park or park except in proper parking spaces. I would like to see if we can strengthen this ordinance to ban these bikes and these ATVs from going up through this park. Now, I'm not accusing anybody, but you can see where trees have been pushed over to make a path wider for an ATV. And while we were up there walking the path, we witnessed a motorbike and an ATV. I have pictures of it, and tracking it out where they saw us, and then they took off and they headed back out off of Jacqueline Road. And this needs to stop. Once we get this park fully functional, you cannot have vehicles driving up there and tearing it down. Also, in two of the parks, Lincoln and Gardner, there is a tremendous amount of residents blowing their leaves into the park. Now, not everybody's doing it, but when you have all these leaves blown into the park and they pile up in a tree like a volcano, that tree stays moist and rotten below. So that's where a lot of the trees are coming down. These trees are rotting. And there is an ordinance, again, 337-4, item F. You cannot carry any flowers, shrubs, shovels, spades, and it goes on. And it says, deposit of materials in or upon the park or road. If we can review this and strengthen this, and the code official has to get out there, because these leaves are piled up so bad, it's just hazardous for people in the park when they do walk. And underneath the leaves, when we kick some of the leaves up, there's shingles, there's plastic. It's got to stop. It really, it's dangerous. So along Lincoln Park, Beechwood, and Jacqueline, and then Ridgewood Boulevard North along Gardner, where that forest area is. Now, the goal is to clean up these dead trees, take the hazardous trees down. Some of the trees on the ground are fine because they create fungus and bugs, and the animals eat that. We're going to try and keep it as much natural as positive, but it has to stop for the safety of the community and our parks. Sherry Field, we took about, I was reading the newspaper today, I think it's the Pasco Press, about the community that went down there about talking about the trucks parked there. In 2018-19, we took 200 pounds of garbage out of that wetland area. That is more dangerous, in my opinion, and I'm not going to get in mix with people saying a truck or nothing, but the chemicals we pulled out of that park are more hazardous than a truck being parked on the field. These are dangerous chemicals and paints that are being dumped in there. When you look at the wetlands along Sherry Field, that wetlands is naturally absorbs the water and it flows away. I read something about flooding. Over the years, contractors and landscapers would pull back into there, dump their grass, dump their leaves. So the wetlands is no longer soft. You now have a hard surface where the water sits on top and runs off. To me, that's, again, we've been working on trying to close that road off when you pull into Sherry Field to the right. I would like to, if I can show you that map and use my mouse. I have another screen up. If I hit share screen, would I be able to show you this map?
Give it a shot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
All right, can you see this? Can everybody see this map? No, huh? Okay.
Which, Tom, do it again and then drag the picture to where you can see us.
Where,
'Cause that's
okay.
the screen you're sharing.
Okay.
Well, Ricky said that he has the map up, but his mouse won't work on our broadcast.
All right, can you just, okay. Ricky,
Try to drag the screen into where you're looking at.
yeah. Yeah, it won't allow me for some reason. Ricky, can you throw that map on the screen? I'll be able to explain it. I don't know, can you hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you. Yes.
Could he show that map on the screen?
Yes, but you won't be able to see it because he's on the, he'll show it on the TV. So you'll,
Okay,
it's on the TV, he said.
it's
Do you
on
want
the
to send it to me, Tom, and I can share it?
It is.
It
It's on the
is.
TV.
Yeah, but you guys, the rest of you guys can't see it, right? Yeah,
No.
okay. So just wait a second. Tom, if you send it to me, I'll share it.
Let me see, Tom, if I can get it from my end. You sent it to me.
Okay.
So let me see.
Yeah, if you would.
Mm-hmm. Let's see where we at. I think you sent it over as green team?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking under Tom.
So while you're trying to do that, I'll speak a little bit more about some of the,
Two people just told me they can see the Lincoln Park map, so.
okay. All right. Sue, can you share it?
I have it. I'm going to, Stacy, I'm going to send it to you, okay?
Okie dokie.
Okay, while we're doing that, some of the ideas that to halt this slaughter of our trees, we would like to see all of the landscapers and the people that cut these trees come in the town and register as a vendor. And other towns, they charge $100 fee to register. Up $50 is fine, $25 is fine, whatever. But I would like to see these tree people come in and register within the township, so we can give them the set rules and regulations on what we need to have done. Saturday seems to be the biggest day in the township for trees coming down. And without seeing that tree report, I cannot tell you if people have a permit or not. Another thing we would like to do is have all the vendors, when they do get a tree permit, or the residents, that the contractor that's taking down the trees, they have a copy of the tree permit. There was a couple of incidents. One was where a contractor cut down 16 trees, had no permit at all. There was another contractor that the resident had a permit for 3 trees, and the contractor talked them into taking down another 6. That we cannot allow continue. So we're looking for a registry of these vendors so we can post.
Mr. Spears, how much will those people find?
There you go.
I have no idea at this time. Oh,
I know
okay.
in the planning board, we asked for the whole entire year.
That's what you want to show, right, Tom?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and I can show the satellite version so everybody can see the trees if you want.
Okay. Okay. Oh, great. Well, we just lost it.
You did?
No, it's here.
Okay, it went to, can you go back to the other screen though?
Sure.
I want to show you some important traits right here. All right. We make Lincoln Park a little bigger.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, great. So Let me come down here. All right, now, make it, now you see this brook that's coming up through here. Shrink that up a little bit. All right. Now, while we were, that's perfect, right like that. A little bigger, please. A little bigger. Okay, perfect. I want you to see these homes and that are being built here. Now, this creek comes through the park, runs down alongside of Northgate. While we were in this area here, there's a lot of trees that are down that are actually stopping a lot of the water to flow. So we're going to have to cut those trees apart. What concerns me the most is while we were watching the water flow, naturally you would see sometimes what you like a white foam that would come down along the stream. While we were in the park, the foam was a dirt yellow with a red kind of color inside of it. That is not normal. That is something that's being either dumped into the waterway or something that's being fed from houses along this area. I was able to walk as far back as I can, but it got too muddy and I didn't have boots on. So I'm going to go back there probably tomorrow to track. Now, this area here along is going to be L Road, where they put some homes up, I think, a couple of years ago. I think, Ken, you were involved with them trying to build into the township. Well, I was told they're adding 19 more homes along this path that will eventually come into the park area. So I just got that FYI. So, I mean, just a heads up that we cannot allow them to do that. Now, I don't know if water is seeping from L Road up here down through the park, because this is where the houses are, and they're going this way. But I'm almost venture to say that we might want to call DEP to see why that foam is an orange with a red stain in it. That is not normal water flow. Usually you would see like a white foam, and that's just common with a waterway going through here. Now, the entrance to Lincoln Park is through Beechwood, and the houses along this area, and not all of them, they're blowing their leaves into here. So when I'm standing on this pile, I am actually 5.5 feet higher than the ground because of the amount of leaves that are being blown into this park. And it goes down this way and across here. And according to this ordinance, you cannot blow your leaves into this park. This becomes a dangerous situation for trees rotting. And then if they heat up during the summer, you're going to have a great forest fire back there. So I'm concerned about this and this waterway. Now, I'm also wondering if there is any increase of water down in Northgate from this area, because the water was flowing quite rapid here, which I never saw before. So something's going on in this area, and I'll have to look at it, go back there tomorrow, meeting one of the tree guys. So I wanted to show you the park in itself. We do have a big acreage here, and this would make a beautiful nature park for the community. No swings, no playgrounds, just for you to get here and sit in the park and enjoy the tranquility of the area. Now, the scout, I believe, Nick, I'm not going to mention his last name, I didn't get permission. His nature path is going to sort of like head this way, down along the creek, come around, and then come back up. There is another path that goes this way, but it's been covered with all the leaves and everything. So, and then throughout this area is an abundance of great trees where I would like to plant those birdhouses with the scout. Michael is going to be working on this and assisting us. And eventually, if this works very well, we'll move it to other parks, Clark and things like that. So I just wanted you to get a general idea on what's going on up here and the conditions that I've seen with the garbage again. Along this stream, there was construction, lumber and timber that looks like it was dumped. We did pull it out of the waterway some way to get this water flow. Now, if you go a little further to the right on this map, I don't know if I can move it or you can move it. Okay, here's Jacqueline Court. Those dirt bikes came out of here and down Jacqueline Court, and I tracked them here. So somewhere in this area, somebody's got an ATV and a motorbike. Now, I would ask that we put some kind of roadblock up here, those concrete poles where a vehicle cannot go down there for dumping, but citizens and the community can walk through and make it a safe passage. So please consider that, and that hopefully will halt anybody coming back here and dumping. So pretty well set, and questions maybe later on. We are going, and I also want to ask to the council to consider that when you take out a tree permit, it's only for 6 months. And if you take out a permit, you're taking out a permit to take a tree down. There's permits that have been out there for a couple of years, and I think that's ridiculous. We should put a time frame on that, and also try and push replanting of trees in this community before we get higher and our community is suffocated. We are definitely going to do our community garden again this year. I talked to Mr. Bliss, and he gave us the okay to do our community garden where we can, again, supply fresh vegetables to the seniors and anybody in town that needs them. We're going to get that kicked off. I can tell you that your team members, the people that are on my team, are outstanding. They're working on the goal. We're working on safety vests and bicycle lights for our goal, which their minds are constantly going to help improve this community. So they are a great asset, and I thank them very much for all their input. Next 2 weeks from now, I have a meeting with the New Jersey State Forestry Supervisor who will be coming up. He heard about our nature park, and he's going to come up and give us ideas, and we're going to walk a couple of the other parks while he's up. So his name is Michael Vasquez, and he is, for some reason, he's very happy about what we're doing here in Lincoln Park. And again, all I can warn is that those 19 houses along Elf Road, they cannot get into the township because I don't know what's coming off of the new houses. I'm not accusing anybody, but it seems very funny that that is not a normal water coming out of that area. I want to thank Mr. Tovo. He got our styrofoam project back on track again. Thank you, Bob, for lending a hand in that. The mayor, thank you for contributing your time and listening to my complaints. And I'll probably be calling you tomorrow because I had a couple of more things to add to my budget. And a special thanks to our administrator and assistant administrator, Sue and Cornelius. Without both of them, including the clerk, without both of them giving me their time and helping me with printing items from Rutgers, I mean, I actually went to 4 ink printers already, and Sue is always there to print out the stuff that Rutgers has sent me, and so I can distribute it among the team.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And any changes or updates, I thank you for listening to me for 30, 35 minutes, but some of this stuff is kind of important. We are pushing 25% of loss of canopy, and to me, that's not a safe environment for this community. Thank you for listening to me, and you want to send me any questions or answers, please, I'll be more than happy to work. And if we can revise these permits and maybe think about registering these contractors so they don't come in, take a tree down and move out, we have a path on controlling our town's future. Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman, for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Sears. And also, if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to Mr. Sears.
Yes, please. We have a lot of work coming up this year, and I'm sorry to say Lincoln Park is a total disappointment, and hopefully we can block the roads going into that. And I would like to, while the mayor's here, I need a couple of trail cameras because I am so serious about catching this person dumping that, we don't have anything up there, but trail cameras definitely will help us because it really has to stop for our future and our children's future. Thank you, and I'm going to drop off and enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tom.
You're doing a great job, Tom.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Be safe.
Good night.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sears. Really appreciate it. Okay, now we're going to move on to general public discussion. To participate in the general public comment portion of the meeting, please dial in on 201-664-4659. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record, and we ask that only one person speak at a time. There's a 5-minute limit per caller. Please note that this is public comment, and comments by the council or mayor or the administrator will be at the end of the public comment section. At the end, no more calls will be accepted. Motion to open the public comment.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did we lose some people?
No, Stace, can you hear?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
Art and I second. Art?
Hello, I'm calling in for public discussion.
Okay, sir, could you state your name for the record, please?
Sure, my name is Martin Maver. I live at 197 Lafayette Avenue. I'm not sure if anything was said in the first 15 minutes as we had no sound, but I'm calling in regards to the Sherry Field discussion for the DPW yard.
Yes, the first couple of minutes were just for Philly to the call and request, and nothing was addressed regarding
Hold on a second.
Sherry Field.
You're both talking at the same time. I'm sorry, you canceled each other out.
A lot of feedback, Sue.
Yeah, I don't know why. Sir, do you have your TV on, or do you have maybe a headset you can plug it to your phone?
Just me and my phone here.
Because somebody else maybe that's on the line has got the TV on or something, because we're hearing a lot of feedback, people. I'm sorry.
Not on my end.
Try that.
That's better, actually.
My name is Martin Maver. I live at 197 Lafayette Avenue. I don't believe anything was said regarding Sherry Field, so I'm going to assume it wasn't and express my concerns for a couple of issues. Sherry Field is a block 4523, lots 1 and 2, and are green acres encumbered, meaning they're listed on the open space database, also known as the ROSI, the Recreation and Open Space Inventory. So I know these are intended for recreation and preservation of open space only. Therefore, I'm not quite sure how we're proposing to build the DPW yard on it. If the adjacent Paper Street, Brook Avenue has been vacated, then it's usually incorporated into the adjacent property, therefore under the same green acres restriction. A question to council, has this been verified with DEP and Boswell regarding the lot and block being separate from Green Acres? And even if it is, the second part of that is that it's not normally permissible to use Sherry Field driveway as access to the park or the proposed structure because it's not also intended for recreation and park use. So these things have to be approved by DEP before they're proposed. Also, does the city have to follow building code and zoning codes required to the proposed area they want to build? The proposed covering amounts to a large area footprints, I think 50 by 50 and 50 by 40. That surely will unfairly increase the flooding to the adjacent low-lying properties there. Also, Boswell's proposed plan shows several large trees having to be removed to gain access to those concrete pads. So that'll be another issue, as we just heard early on about the trees being removed in the area. That has to be approved by Green Acres also. Second is the leaf storage at Sherry Field. I had made a phone call with the DEP, spoke to Maud Snyder at DEP, and she's the Green Acres steward for Bergen County. She has informed us and also stated that it's not acceptable to use the Sherry Field for leaf storage and compost. So this is something she's going to be calling into the town to discuss. If it is going to be used, it's usually only temporary and not long-term. But that's something that the town should look into, finding other options for disposal of the leaves. And third and lastly is the paving of Lafayette Avenue. I've written to both mayors, Westwood and Township, in the last 9 months. I was told Boswell would be performing an inspection and would return their findings to the town. Does the town have this report yet? As a result of Lafayette Avenue being on the border of the two towns and requiring some coordination, both towns have neglected to act on paving the road in the last 30 years. I believe last time the county actually paved it. The road is in poor condition, exhibits severe alligator cracking, longitudinal cracks, breakdown material, potholes, birds baths, failing catch basins. I reported that 9 months ago. I think Township had fixed one of them already. The extra traffic this road sees as a cut through and the additional weight of the semi-trucks leaving Sherry Field have taken its toll. I understand there are no proposed scheduled gas improvements for this block. If not, then the road should be paved this spring if possible. So I just wanted to follow up with both towns to make sure this gets on the schedule for spring. That's everything I have to say at this time, and thanks for listening, and I hope the DPW yard doesn't get built at Sherry Field, the leaf storage gets removed, and we can get the road paved. Thank you.
Stacy, you're on. Stacy, you're mute.
Hello?
Hi, could you just state your name one more time? I'm sorry, it was fuzzy in the beginning.
I think he left already, Stacy. I'll look it up in the book tomorrow and I'll let you know.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't catch his.
Yeah, I wrote the address down to make sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yeah, it's Thomas Spazio at 112 Lafayette.
Yes, Mr. Stasio, what can we do for you?
Yeah, so I'm also calling about the DPW garage being put at Sherry Field. Actually, Mayor Calamari and Councilman Cummings stopped by my house on Saturday. That they're not going to be putting it there, and that they would be making an announcement earlier in the call. And there was no audio in the beginning of the call, so perhaps you guys did mention it. We didn't hear it. But it was a little concerning because, once again, we were told that this was, 100% out of the question, that, they're scratching that idea and you're going to figure out somewhere else to put it. So, I mean, if I know there's a lot of other people on the call right now that are going to be voicing their concerns as well. So, I mean, if you guys want to step in and make that announcement, if it hasn't already been made.
I don't believe that there was going to be an announcement. I believe it was going to be discussed this evening, but there was not supposed to be an announcement this evening, just to let you know.
Okay, I'm letting you know that they stopped by my house on Saturday in the afternoon and told me otherwise. They said that they were 100% taking it off the table and be announcing it today.
Yeah, they specifically said it so that we didn't have to sit and wait for the open forum. They said that they would be announcing it in the very beginning of the meeting.
Okay, I'll have to check back with them. That's not what I was informed of, just so you know. Okay. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. and Mrs. Fazio. We really appreciate it. And it was a pleasure meeting with you last week also. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes. Hello?
Yes.
Hi, this is Aria Say from 107 Cosman.
Yes, Mrs. Cosman. Yes, yes, Aria, how are you? I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. Again, the discussion that we've had, this is just coming from also Mr. and Mrs. Fazio and Mr. Merver from up the street. It's just that we, have spoken regarding Sherry Field. We're just calling in again just to reiterate what we've talked about a couple of times that we've met regarding the concerns that we have and what the people have said about it being temporary. We do not believe that's going to be temporary, and I don't think that anything can be put back to the way that it would be currently. And after we were listening to what Mr. Green had, or Mr. Sears had said about trees being cut down and trees being fallen down naturally because of the storm, we have lost quite a bit of trees because of the storm. Now, we can't afford to lose more trees because if you're intending on putting these sheds up, we're going to be cutting down trees, paving according to what was said before. We're just going back again about we do not wish that this was going to be off the table, and hopefully what you guys will be discussing this during your session after the live comments. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for calling in. We will be discussing this tonight. I know that. Is there anyone else on the line?
Hello, Brian Sinclair.
Yes, Mr. Sinclair, what can we do for you this evening? Just your address, please.
Brian Sinclair, 864 Ridgewood Boulevard East.
Yes, Mr. Sinclair. Thank you for calling in.
Ridgewood Boulevard East.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Sinclair. We're ready.
My question is for Ken Pollard. A couple of months ago, we talked in regard to 450 Pascack, and Mr. Pollard was going to speak to the planning board about an ordinance or any other solution concerning 450. And I just want to know if anything came out of that meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sinclair. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes.
Diane Ferrara, 743 Amherst Drive.
Yes, Mrs. Ferrara, how are you this evening?
Okay, I'm calling in regarding a letter which I forwarded to the council members and mayor this past week. I would imagine you received that?
Yes, we did. I did at least.
So the reason why I'm calling, we have been in touch. I actually was back in touch with the mayor and council at one of your meetings back in September when we began fighting, and a group of residents gathered it's a coalition of residents called Stop Overdevelopment in the township. What Mr. Sears covered this evening is exactly what our concerns are. If you were to look at a satellite view of Washington Township, the trees that border Memorial Fields make up a very large percentage of the canopy in this township. There's 200 mature trees, 75 to 100 years old. Not only do they beautify the field, which is the only open space we have as a community in the heart of this town for our various events and sporting events and so forth, but as he pointed out, they're essential for the health of the community, the purification of our air, and the preservation of a constantly shrinking tree canopy in this town. So since my first call in September, and then a subsequent meeting with the council in October, and then some assurances in the meeting in December that this would be discussed in closed session, we're still waiting for a solution from the mayor and council that will preserve that lot from devastation, from just tearing out 200 mature trees. There's no reason why the township council and mayor shouldn't be as concerned about this as we are. So we would like to know if there's progress been made on that and what solutions are going to be proposed at this time. And I also have a question for Mr. Cumming. As you probably saw in the news, there was a lot of an upset about the changes that were made on the zoning board. It's no secret that Fred Guest and Diane Grimaldi, whom I have witnessed during several zoning board meetings because of several applications that I was interested in, have very much the concerns of this township at heart. So we were all concerned about why they were removed from the zoning board. And I would just like to revisit quickly in the few minutes I have left, the goals that were stated in the master plan evaluation report as major problems and objectives relating to land development. This is the 2019 master plan reevaluation report. Maintain quiet single-family residential suburban community, preserve open space, limit impervious surface coverage, maintain the township's aesthetic appeal by passing an ordinance for the preservation and protection of its trees, maintain the township's existing balanced land use pattern by strictly adhering to the land use designations, develop and adopt proper ordinance standards for limitation of impervious surface coverage, and encourage citizen participation in the planning process. What concerns us is that Mr. Cummings said after that vote that we need a fresh look at some of the people who are on the zoning board, and we need an outlook that we're looking for. So what residents are wondering is how is the outlook that's being sought by removing Fred Getz and Diane Grimaldi from the zoning board any different than our master plan and any different than what Fred and Diane Grimaldi have been so conscientious in doing, which is to protect this township from overdevelopment and incursions on the character of this community. We pay a lot in taxes. Our homes are our biggest expense, and we'd like to protect them. I've been in the township 50 years, and I'm seeing things happen in the last couple of years that are very frightening, and we're wondering where it's going. So my question for Mr. Cummings is if he could clarify his remarks about what the outlook is that we're looking for that made it necessary to remove Diane Grimaldi and Fred Getz from the zoning board. So we would like an update on this and also a better understanding of where this is going based on the changes in the zoning board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Ferrara. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, hi. My name is Anthony Udina. I am at 876 Ridgewood Boulevard East.
Yes, Mr. Udina, how are you this evening?
I'm good, thank you. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you, yes.
The reason why I'm calling is because of 450 Pascack Road. In the past council meetings, it's been stated that the mayor and council are discussing options to preserve the wooded part of the property. And I believe in the last meeting, it was also stated there will be more discussion in closed session tonight. So can you confirm that you'll be discussing that in closed session tonight? If you can provide an update on this topic, that any update that's not confidential to your closed session, that would be great. I understand some things have to be kept in closed session. You can't talk about it until you have something solid. So that would be great if you could just update us on that. You've already heard this, but I just want to reiterate that for the single-family property that's zoned at 450 Pascack Road, that we just need to keep it that way for our children's safety, preservation of trees. I mean, you all heard what Mr. Shears said tonight, about the canopy and reduction, the original proposal that went to the zoning board that's not there anymore was going to take down somewhere from around 200 trees. We need to protect the wildlife. We need to avoid any negative impact that overdevelopment causes. So that's about 450 Pascack Road. The other concern I had was regarding the zoning board. In the past, I heard that in these council meetings that the zoning board is an entity that would be a line of defense against overdevelopment and would protect our town. So with the recent new appointees that were assigned to the zoning board, recently in the Pascack press, they reported the profession of these new appointees. And I got to tell you, on the surface, just hearing the profession of these appointees, that based on that, it looks like they could possibly be in support or sympathetic to development. So that really worries me because, potentially they could favor an applicant that wants to put high density housing in our township. So does the mayor and council have any comments that could put this concern at ease for me? That's all I have. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you. Anyone else on the line?
Stace, I'm sorry, I didn't catch his name.
That was Anthony Udina.
Hello. Hi, yeah, Danielle Fabrizio, 137 Lafayette Avenue.
I know, Mrs. Rizzo, could you hold on 1 second, please? Desiree, that was Anthony Udina. Go ahead, Mr. Rizzo, how are you?
I'm sorry, could you state your name and address one more time, please?
Sure, Danielle Fabrizio, 137 Lafayette Avenue.
Thank you.
I am calling to agree with everyone else who called saying that we are against the building on Cherry Field. We don't believe that once the structure is built, it would be temporary, like you've been told. Trucks already drive down our street way too fast. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for calling in. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, Sal Grosso.
I'm sorry, could one of you go first and then the other, please?
Sal Grosso, 104 Cosman Street.
Yes, Mr. Grosso, how can we help you this evening? How are you?
Yes, I just want to address the contractor who's removing the leaves at Cherry Field. His schedule really doesn't make sense to me, and I'll address it this way. On Monday the 11th, he was a no-show. Tuesday the 12th, he took away 1 load. Wednesday the 13th, he took away 2 loads. Thursday the 14th, he took away 1 load. Friday the 15th, he took away 1 load. He doesn't work on the weekend. Monday the 18th, he was in the bucket loader. He pushed leaves around. And today he took away 1 load, came back, pushed leaves around, and left around 1 p.m. The leaves have been sitting there for months. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you for calling and have a good evening. I believe there was someone else on the line.
Hi, Elizabeth Leahy, 275 Wilson Avenue.
Yes, good evening, Mrs. Leahy. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. What can we do for you this evening?
Just calling about the trees that's on Hudson Avenue by the doghouse. Just wanted to call in to voice concern of the potential of cutting down those trees for temporary sheds. So just want to put that, on the record that, we would
I'm gonna have
not,
to get crazy.
we would like to not have those trees cut down and have concerns. So I'm looking forward to hearing the discussions about alternative solutions to this problem for DPW. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, Mrs. Leahy. Have a good evening. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, Dawn Marshall, 118 Lafayette Avenue.
Yes, Mrs. Marshall, how are you this evening? How can we help you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Just wanted to reiterate what all our neighbors are saying between the leaves and the possibility of a garage being built here. I think the people around Cherry Field have dealt with enough. Perhaps we can find a different solution for the hub, for the maintenance of the new garage. And again, 30 years ago when I was calling about the leaves, they hadn't been picked up, I guess it was past March. We're looking like it's the same thing, except we've had no snow. So there's really no reason this year why we have to deal with the stench that's coming off of those leaves. We were told 30 years ago that was going to be a temporary situation, and here we are 30 years later, still dealing with the same problem. Perhaps we can find a different solution at this point, or just make sure that the leaves are, in fact, being dealt with legally, which is a 2-week turnaround from the time the first leaf gets dropped to the last leaf gets dropped. So we just want to make sure all of our concerns are heard over with the council.
Yes, thank you very much for calling in.
That's all. Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, could you state your name and address, please?
Wait a minute, I have to mute you.
Yeah, you need to, yes.
I'm Dr. Rosalind Roush. I'm at 284 Wilson Avenue.
Yes.
I also support preserving the trees next to the doghouse. I don't see any good reason to remove those heritage trees.
Okay.
And I hope that the council will take that under advisement.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could one go at a time, please? Okay, one of you. Yes, hi, how are you?
One at a time, please. Hello, would somebody state their name and address for the record?
Hi, this is Laura Sinclair calling from 864 Ridgewood Boulevard East.
Yes, Mrs. Sinclair, who are you?
Do you have a TV on or anything, ma'am? It's feedback.
Hi, I just wanted to say it was such a breath of fresh air listening to Mr. Tom Steers this evening talking about the preservation of trees. I live on 864 Ridgewood Boulevard East, which is adjacent to the land between Memorial, Washington School and Memorial Field. And not only is hearing the preservation of the trees, as well as the preservation of wildlife. Looking out my window today, there were 3 hawks, and I see deer on a daily basis. I can't imagine all those trees being cut down, the landscape being changed, and the preservation of land. So, again, we thank you for your continued support to continue to have this beautiful landscape that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sinclair, for calling in. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes.
Yes, your name and address, please.
My name is Frank McCormick. I live at 97 Lafayette Avenue in Westwood, across the street from Sherry Field.
Yes, how can we help you this evening?
Well, I'd just like to reiterate the conversation that we had on the field last week when the mayor, and I think it was you, and the mayor of Westwood and some other council people came there to discuss with about 65 other concerned citizens about the DPW garage that was supposed to be built there and the leaves that have been piling up in front of our house for the last 30 years. I think people have voiced their opinions about the DPW building and how it's shouldn't be there. And as far as the leaves go, you had a gentleman on earlier, Mr. Shears, talking about leaves piling up 5 feet around trees, and we've been living in front of a pile of about 25 feet of leaves for decades. And the mayor, who was very cordial at those meetings, said he was going to discuss with the mayor of Westwood on other options in the future to dispose of leaves and not using Sherry Field parking lot as a depository for stenching mulch. So I'm hoping that the mayor and the town council will look further into this to make sure that we don't have to put up for this moving forward. And we're looking forward to hear what your decisions are down the road.
Thank you very much for calling in. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Why don't you go ahead first?
Hello?
You were waiting before. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Julie Albanese. I'm calling from 684 Hickory Street in Washington Township.
Yes,
I'm also calling about that strip of land between Washington School and Ridgewood Boulevard East. I'm an educator myself. I work in a different district, but I've seen wonderful things being done with outdoor learning, especially in these COVID times. And I just think it's a wonderful resource there, if possible, right next to our schools that our children could use for learning now when they get back to school or in the future. And I just think perhaps in the future we can look toward making that space a space for learning opportunities for our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Albanese, for calling in. There was a gentleman on the line?
Hello? No. Michael Lemkin, 723 Amherst Drive.
Yes, Mr. Lemkin, what can we do for you this evening? How are you?
Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. I also like to echo that Mr. Sears did a really good presentation. One of my neighbors is on the green team, so I've heard a lot of the stuff they do. They do really good things around town, so I'd just like to tell them good job, keep up the work. But it was a timely presentation regarding trees when now we have this administration wants to rip down a bunch of trees at the doghouse. And we have a potential development next to the school, the 450 Pascack, that wants to rip down, I believe Diane stated it was over 100 trees. I think it would be difficult for the town to try to make new rules about trees to enforce on the taxpayers when the town itself is looking to rip down trees or allow developers to come in and rip down trees. So I definitely think that's something to look into. Also, Mr. Sears talked about the leaves, and obviously you heard a bunch of phone calls about the leaves, but another area I saw a problem was the landscapers at Bethany Church. They take most of the leaves on the property and they blow them back into the stream. And Mr. Sears explained to the problems with polluting the stream. And then when landscapers aren't blowing it into the stream, they like to blow it into the main roads where people are driving, which also creates an unsafe situation. So I definitely think there's a lot more that needs to be looked into regarding leaves around town. The next thing I'd like to discuss, I really want to echo a lot of what Diane said. She was on point as usual. But what happened with the zoning board, I think, is very troubling. Now, I'd like to start off with saying I've never met Fred Getz. I don't know Fred Getz, other than I've spoken to him one time at a zoning board meeting. And it was at a development that was near my house. And it was during the pandemic. We had 67 phone calls. And Fred was able to run a meeting. It was great. It was on time. There's no technical issues. Everyone got to speak. There's no yelling, cutting off, any of that stuff. Everyone was very nice, despite the fact that I'm sure most of the 67 people that called in didn't understand the format of the zoning board, myself included. I don't understand why he was removed from his position during these tough times. And to echo what Diane said, I believe the exact quote that Mr. Cummings used was fresh eyes. Well, I don't really know what that means. Because what company on the face of this planet would fire a really good employee and say, oh, I want fresh eyes? If someone's doing a good job and getting the job done, why do you get rid of them? So I was reading online about some stuff that potentially be coming down the pike for the zoning board, and it is very concerning that the rumor is there's a potential application at a development where two of the council members live. And those two council members fought to get rid of people on the zoning board to put their people in. And that's highly concerning. Another person on the zoning board, I know Fred and Diane are good, but also Mike Werfel. I mean, he does a great job as well. He does all the tech stuff. I mean, you guys going to get rid of him next when his term is over? Again, to echo what Diane said, I'm extremely concerned about what happened to the zoning board. And lastly, I need to echo the 450 PASCAX, because I've been to a couple meetings, as you guys heard about the meetings, and yet it doesn't appear anything's being done, or no one has told us anything, and it's been months now. This project doesn't just affect the neighbors in the area, which anyone that's been in their backyards could see how terrible this would be for them. We went through the trees, but it affects other people in town, people with kids that are going to go to the school. Like a lot of people are interested and upset by this project, not just those neighbors. And what appears to be a lack of action needs to be addressed. And this council needs to understand that it's not just a couple neighbors that are upset about this and fighting this. This is people throughout the whole town are upset by this. People that don't even have kids in town anymore.
And Mr. Lumpkin, you have 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
Here's something from the council regarding that as well. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling and have a good evening. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Can you give me an address?
Hello, William Ferrara, 2556 Cleveland Avenue.
Yes,
Hello?
Yes.
William
I guess
Ferrara,
I was okay, go ahead. You could go. I'll go next.
2556 Cleveland Avenue. With respect to I didn't hear Mr. Sears' presentation. I got on late. But with respect to the Green Acres, the council passed a ordinance in number 1909 and covering the creation of the Green Acres scheme. One of the clauses in that ordinance, number 7, discusses promoting sustainable building, using building materials that will eliminate eliminate the negative input of emissions and other environmental negative effects on commercial and residential buildings. In 2018, There were two resolutions passed, number 229 and number 230. One was dealt with resolution to use sustainable materials in building buildings, and the other one, number 230, dealt with using protecting the environment, the land use environment. I just wanted to know how the town intends to enforce those resolutions and ordinances, given that they didn't use any environmental or solar or any other environmental friendly materials to build the EMS building, and with the new assisted living facility going up, with the Viviano houses going up, and with other developments going up, I just wanted to know how they intend to advise that, enforce those clauses in an ordinance. Second thing I wanted to talk about was, I didn't see where last year you had a meeting, virtual meeting, where Mr. May came in and presented the audit report. I did see today that the audit report is sitting on the website, and I looked at it, and I had one question on one item on the audit report. It's on the balance sheet, first page. It's called Expenditures Without Appropriations, $10,000. No explanation of what it was for, and my understanding was that if you're going to spend money, you have to appropriate it. So I'd like to know what that was about. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was 2 meetings ago, you had indicated, Ms. Feeney, that you were going to arrange a meeting, probably with you and the mayor and Superintendent Gonzalez, about issues containing the Washington School and the capacities at Washington School. If you had that meeting, and if so, what is the result of that meeting? Thank you very much.
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Hello?
Yes, your name and address, please.
Sue, this is Janet.
Janet Sopkowitz?
Yes. Somebody else was on with me. I don't know who it was. But good evening. This is Janet Sopkowitz, 849 Robin Wood Road, Township of Washington. I wanted to congratulate Tom Sears and his team on a great, thorough report that he gave this evening. And obviously, it really also applies to the tract of land on 450 Pascack Road. So I hope that all of you enjoyed it and that you will listen to some of the recommendations that he has proposed, especially with the trees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sopkowitz, for calling in. Have a good evening. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. This is Michael Ullman, 2 Clark Avenue.
Yes, Mr. Ullman, how are you?
Very good, thank you. I hope you're well.
Yes, thank you.
I was wondering if Councilman DeSena or Councilman Cumming could give an update on the emergency service building. I understand, or I saw that there was a status meeting today, and I was hoping we could get an update on that. Second item is on November 9, December 7, and December 21, there was a resolution 20-314 to refund $12,572.51 to Block 1306, Lot 2. I believe that's known as the Viviano property. And there seemed to be a rush at the time to get this ordinance or resolution passed. It was pulled at the last meeting at the request of Mr. Poller, and I don't even see it on tonight's agenda. I was wondering, has that been resolved? Has the refund been made? Because I would have assumed it needed the approval or the resolution to be approved. And if it has been pulled, what is that resolution that payment is no longer required? Next item is the green team. I don't know if Mr. Sears has any influence, but if he could speak on behalf of the green team to the utility companies and their tree trimming policies, because I live on a property that has 3 very mature trees that face major thoroughfares, and they look like heads of broccoli that have been split in 2. And, you know, the trees are damaged, they are dying, they are unhealthy, and it has nothing to do with the homeowner. It has everything to do with the way they are maintained by the utilities. So if Mr. Sears has any influence or can speak to the utilities, it would be greatly appreciated. The other thing is, Mr. Sears mentioned the Fill It Forward campaign that involves the school. He also mentioned 2 projects that involve scouts. This brings me to an item that I have been raising consistently, I would say, for the past 3 or 4 months. I don't know if you have any updates on when background checks are going to be done. When they do commence, would they include organizations within the township like the Green Team? Because, you know, clearly the individuals on the team have interactions with school-aged or individuals under the age of 18. They have influence there, and you know, I don't see why they would be excluded, and I don't know why our sports teams are excluded from an ordinance that is on the books that was amended at the request of the Director of Recreation early last year, excuse me, when they took out the fingerprinting requirement. It was done so we could move forward with background checks, and a year later, we still do not have background checks. We have an administrator who is trying to figure out how we can make background checks. This is an individual who was hired. He's an ex-police chief. I would think as an ex-police chief, he would understand how to do a background check, but clearly that's not.
Mr. Ullman, excuse me. Please stop pushing the button. Hang up the phone. That's rude. Hang up the phone.
Ms. Wachowski, I very much appreciate
sorry.
your assistance. You know, apparently alternate views are not welcome at this council, or at least by the people who.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ullman, but the council is listening to you and we are all taking notes. I know that. I'm sorry if there's some confusion on the phone. But, you know, please note that we are all listening and taking your comments under advisement.
Oh, that's fine. You know, there are other tools. I know you are not enamored with them, but there are tools that allow virtual meeting tools that allow you to admit and then mute people from the meetings. You know, you choose not to do that, so we are faced with this on a regular basis, or at least I am. So clearly I must say something that's annoying to this individual. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Sorry about that.
Is there anyone else that would like to ask any questions, make any comments?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes. Hello, it's Gina Mead. My address 226 Cosman Street. I would like to comment and actually hope to have an answer. Deals with Sherry Field and the building of the DPW garage. Several things that people have brought up. One, that trucks would be going back and forth. There are a lot of children that live along this area. And I understand there were 6 or 7 pages of petitions that were signed and sent in. That means many people on Cosman as well as the other streets, Lafayette. I mean, that's a lot of people to make us to sign on a petition and not have any action. I understand that it was going to be discussed and it was not going, the DPW was not going to be built there. And now I understand today, it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. It sounds like it's still being discussed. I just have to say,
you know, if any of you had lived there, I mean, based on what I hear about the leaves, I don't smell anything. I've been told, you know, do I smell it? No. But if I were the one who was on council and had that, that would be really difficult to live with. And so I'm appealing to each of you to think about it as if it were your house. Would you want this garage to be built? One, it's in a flood area, which means a concrete pad gets put down, takes up more reason for more flooding. The fumes of the truck. I mean, this woman, she said she lives 10 feet away from where it's going to be built. She's pregnant and about to have her first child. Does she really want to be worried about the garage as to when the fumes are? Is she outside and smelling it? I'm just concerned as a citizen, as well as, of course, the trucks going by, but it doesn't even affect me as much. I'm just speaking for the town in this area. The other thing is Lafayette, down on that corner, it's such a tight corner that there are people who park on the street there that I, as a car, have difficulty getting through. So please think about it. I also know somebody on the last council meeting had said, please look into renting and finding out the cost of having an engineer cut down the tree, put the pad down. What is the cost to do that versus maybe paying rent on a parking lot somewhere else that would not be impinging on a very populated residential area? They deal with lots of things down there, even with cars that come by, you know, for the kids that they play, which I know when they bought the houses, they must have known that. But dealing with leaves that I hear, I had no idea. I've lived in the town 35 years.
So I will tell you, Mrs. Mead.
I think something like that should be addressed. And the fact that every day only one load of leaves being taken away, that's a terrible thing. Why can't they just pick it up and get it out? And what it would take is just one or two council people to contact that you're paying them, contact them, and enforce it, that these people can live better without having to smell that. And that's really all. And within the town, about trees being taken down, I mean, Mr. Sears said a beautiful thing about the trees. I'm a big believer in trees. And the fact that, you know, more trees are going to be taken down, I think you've heard it from many of the people that they don't agree to that, between the one from Memorial Field and then the other one at 450. So please just think about this as if you were the one living next door and how you would like that. And that's the only way I think sometimes people can, when you wear somebody else's shoes and you don't like it, you think a little differently. And that's all I have to say. And I would hope that there will be an answer that we can all hear about what you're going to do about the DPW.
Yes, Ms. Mead.
Thank you. And I do know that you listen to everybody's comments, and it is a tiring thing, but I do appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Thank you. I can tell you that this is on the agenda to be discussed. It's not going to be discussed. There was just not something on the agenda for an announcement in the beginning, just so everyone's clear.
I can't hear you.
Oh, Sue, can you tell her?
Yes. Mrs. Feeney said that it is on the agenda to be discussed, and she apologized for it not being at the beginning of the meeting, but it will be on the conference agenda tonight.
Okay, and then can I ask the question, when will we hear back as to the decision?
Well, I'm sure if you continue to watch the meeting, there'll be some statements from various members of the administration.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
You too.
Is there anyone else on the line?
Hello? Is there anyone else?
Yes. Douglas Casado.
Sorry, Douglas.
Casado at 2430 Cleveland Avenue.
Thank you.
Mr. Casado, how are you?
Just two items. One related to the tree removal between Washington and Memorial, although quite distant from it. I was just curious if any discussions or remediation plans have been looked at, if any concerns were with soil runoff into the water runoffs that would feed into the lake. So whether we'd have sediment buildup as it comes through there, that's one. And then the second is really related to where my property sits is adjacent to the senior park. Noticed that a very nice gentleman was out there with some town help measuring for the bocce ball court that was looked at a potential project. Totally supportive of it and nothing necessarily against it. Just want to make sure that safety is taken into consideration, that whole thing. Park's beautiful, it's great. Love where I live. I've been in town for now, I don't know, 8 years or so. And the trees in that area where that court would go need some pruning. To be honest, I was looking at it myself at one point before I understood where the property lines were. It cost about $2,000, big trees. I totally support having the trees there as well, but just, they're old and they could use called a haircut to ensure that nothing falls off on anybody that's enjoying some games. The other portion is the retaining walls that are in the area. If you go for that project, those retaining walls are in pretty bad shape. They're nothing huge, but definitely should be looked at. I'm going to trip over them. And plus, just from an appeal standpoint in our town, right? I mean, that park's a really nice area in the middle of this side of town that people like to enjoy and see and visit. That would be a nice thing to look into as part of the overall project. And it's something that's a larger concern, but if we decided to put in a park that would bring in people that would, not normally visit the park as much, the street runs adjacent to that, being Chestnut, it happened to see a fairly decent number of walkers. So I have video cameras that surround my house, and it sees about 50 to 60 people walk around the lake every day. And no, I don't have a radar detector, but I'll tell you there are people that are hauling through Chestnut on a frequent basis. And so, if we could look at potentially some safety prevention, maybe stop signs or what have you, to slow some people down as they come by the park, that might be bringing in some more seniors to support having some fun with a bocce ball court. That'd be a really nice thing. And that's about it.
Thank you very much for calling in. Is there anyone else on the line? Is there anyone else on the line?
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, this is David Polygon from 85 Lafayette Avenue.
I'm sorry,
I just wanted to call in.
Excuse me, sir, could you say your last name again, please?
Polygon from 85 Lafayette Avenue.
Thank you.
Yeah. First, I do want to thank Ms. Feeney, the Mayor Calamari, and Mr. DeCina for coming down and meeting all the residents who came out, 60 to 70 residents, to meet and talk about the Sherry Field temporary DPW that he's talked about. And I think we've all expressed concerns. You've heard at the very beginning of this call from one of our neighbors who clearly articulated most of the EPA challenges, and even from the early green team discussion that we heard about all the impact that's happened at Sherry Field already, from the leaves over the years, from the various landscaping companies that have dumped their debris into this area that has actually elevated the entire field, the parking lot, and has contributed to the flooding that happens in the area. I bought my house 21 years ago and have been flooded from the brook and from all the various changes that have been made in the area. And I think it's very concerning that we would add to the challenges that are here for all the residents that do get flooded by both on Cosmo and Lafayette Avenue by putting an additional pad on that parking lot. The trucks that come down the street are, all day, every day. We deal with it. We deal with trucks at, 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, idling, waiting to pick up leaves for months on end. And I think, enough is enough, that we do have to get a resolution to this, both to the leaves and by not putting a temporary DPW on this property.
Thank you very much for calling in. Is there anyone else on the line?
Anyone else?
Okay, motion to close the public comment portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Oh, hold on. Is there someone there?
I said so moved, sir.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're closed.
Okay, the first order of business is going to be that we have a follow-up comment from last week regarding the cost. Mr. Tovo, are you ready to provide that information for the, or are you, no?
Yes, I am. We do have some preliminary pricing in, but before I give that, I just want to inform the council that we have found 2 other suitable locations for those sheds that would better serve DPW as well as our parks and fields. One would go at Sherry and one would go at Clark, and they would only be on gravel, so there'd be no more impervious coverage, and it would be utilized for equipment storage to service both of those parks. Our preliminary pricing on the tree removal and the site work at the end of Hudson would have been about $30,000.
Okay.
I have a clarifying question for that. Mr. Tovo, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure I understand it. So you're saying there would be like a shed of some sort that would house equipment that would store equipment for those fields, correct? Like recreation stuff?
That is correct.
Okay. It was said quickly and I wanted to make sure I understood it. Okay.
Okay. And now
And
we'll
Mr.
go on.
Tovo, also.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tovo, we always talked about having impervious surfaces with this project. Is that correct?
Well, this is not that, Councilman Cassidy, this is not regarding that project. This is regarding equipment being stored for the field use, not the DPW.
So is these the 2 sheds that was supposed to go at the doghouse?
I'm sorry, we're going to follow up comments in a minute. So if we could stick to what Mr. Tovo was addressing, that would be great.
The 2 sheds I just referred to would not be on impervious surfaces. They would only be on gravel.
Are these the 2 sheds that were proposed to go behind the doghouse, Mr. Tovo?
Yes, sir, they are.
Okay.
Okay.
And we
That
still
answers my
don't
question. Thank you.
we don't want to put them where
Okay, we're going to move on to follow-up comments now, if that takes care of those 2 sheds for that. That's just for that specific follow-up. Okay, so would the administration like to make comments first regarding the public comment? Mayor Calamar, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I wanted to be quiet while the people were talking. Yes, I'm happy to at least comment in the beginning about my opinion about both Sherry Field and the properties at the end of Hudson. I'm going to say, just to lay out the procedure for those, or how we got here for those who weren't attending the meetings. We came up with a proposed solution to store these things at another location. And I got a request from one council person to research town properties, which we did, and that's what brought us here to looking at those 2. However, the residents have spoken loud and clear that they do not want this in their backyard. I totally agree with them. That was not my first choice from the start. But, you know, I do what the council asked me to do, and, you know, they asked me to look at town properties, so I did that. But however, you know, it will cost us money to look at these other locations, but I think it is money well spent, especially since Mr. Tovo just said that it would cost us 30 grand in site work for the end of Hudson. You know, that can go a long way toward, you know, spending those 30,000 on a better temporary location than Sherry or the end of Hudson. So those are my comments. I hope the council will kind of echo that, because I think we all heard from the residents.
Any other comments regarding, say, 450 Pascack, which was addressed to you, or is that not up for discussion right now, just so the public is aware?
Yeah, 450 Pascack, I will be discussing in closed tonight. However, I believe that I will have something for the public at the following meeting, because I have some updates for the council, and then I can share them at the meeting after this one with the public, I believe.
Okay, and then also, again, we just for...
Do you want me to do all my comments now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, also part of Sherry Field, when we met there, some residents, rightfully so, brought up the storage of leaves. I since then have asked the DPW to look into what they would need, both in equipment and staffing, to truck the leaves directly out of town, to not store them at Sherry. And I've also asked the administrator to reach out to some of our surrounding towns that do not store them and see what locations they are using. So yes, took that very seriously also. Let's see. As far as if we have to continue to use Sherry for any length of time, I don't know if that, I just don't remember offhand if that's a year-to-year contract or if it's a multi-year. If it's a year-to-year and should we have to use that once more, we'll see about putting time frames in, because yes, that's not acceptable that they're taking it as it's such a slow pace. So we'll see about adding that to the contract with suitable penalties. Obviously there has to be weather dependencies in there, but yeah, they shouldn't just be doing 1 or 2 loads a day. Let them do what they have to do to get it out. I will address Bethany blowing leaves into the stream and the road. I apologize, if Mr. Farrar said anything that addressed me. My computer froze for a couple minutes while he was speaking, so I didn't fully get to hear him.
It was something about, just so you know, that a 1909 ordinance, which maybe Mr. Poller, you would be interested in researching and letting us know what exactly Mr. Farrar was referring to. I mean, I'm sure it would be a little education to the council and the mayor from 1909, but I thought that was a very interesting piece of information.
Okay. I will let Administrator Tovo talk about background checks, because I believe he does have an update for us. I will reach out to Chief Skinner to see what we can do about the speeding on Chestnut, maybe put the speed trailer there, or I think there are other phone pole mounted speed reminders have come in. So I know he's working with the DPW to get those installed. I think that recaps pretty much everything I had. I apologize if I'm missing something. If someone brings it to my attention, I'll happily answer it. Thank you.
Yes, and if there's something we're missing, we will be putting it on for the next meeting agenda after the comments. I have my notes here. I'm going to go next. Regarding Sherry Field, I'm not in favor of putting the temporary DPW there. I've actually never been in support of that. I don't feel that it in someone's backyard is the right decision. I am in full support of renting space and spending the money. And I believe the cost per one of the 3,300 households will be very minimal. Regarding 450 Pascack, I do look forward to hearing the mayor's update, and hopefully we can move forward on that. Regarding the zoning board, I'm actually a little, saddened to hear such negative comments about our new zoning board members when they have decided to give up their time to help to make our town better. I appreciate 100% the service the previous zoning board members had given to us. However, residents have the opportunity to make our community better by giving their time and volunteering. And if the current government feels that another resident deserves an opportunity to do so, that should be fully supported. There was nobody was fired. This is an appointment. It's a voluntary position. It's a volunteer position. And I'm very thankful for our 3 new zoning board members, one who was an alternate, who is now a full boat member. Thank you, Mr. Capasso. Thank you to Mr. Lagrada. I do really appreciate it. Mr. Roberto, also welcome as an alternate. I am surprised that several residents would go in that tone. I really thought the town was moving in a very positive direction. and we really should keep moving forward in that way. So I look forward to them serving. I know they will do a good job for our town. Regarding Mr. Sears, thank you so much for your time tonight. It was definitely informative. I've never realized how big Lincoln Park was, but it's nice to see that there's going to be something done there. I will tell you, my daughter walks in the park frequently with our babysitter, and they have a really good time going. There's lots of families of deer, and she sees lots of wildlife, and she really has a good time going there. I do agree that the leaves at Cherry Field should be removed quicker. And yes, I was there on 2 days where there was odor. I do feel it's not fair to our residents, and we need to move in another direction with that. So I will be in support of whatever we need to do to get that resolved. And that's actually all I have. Vice President Morgan, would you like to go next?
Thank you. Yes, first and foremost, I want to talk about I couldn't catch his last name, but the person who called in at 197 Lafayette Ave regarding paving Lafayette Ave, and he was asking if we had the report.
Right.
And I understand, I guess it's because it's bordering Westwood that they're kind of in an in-between area where they're not really getting an answer. So I do want to follow up on that at some point. I want that on the radar. Follow up and get him the report if there was one.
I know, just so you know, I know that our mayor from Westwood, they are working on that together, and they are reaching out together since Boswell is our engineer and their engineer. So I would catch up with the mayor on that.
Okay. I too want to talk about the comments from the zoning board. I don't have any investment other than being a resident in this town. And I don't know any of the people that we put in the zoning positions personally. I know that we received their resumes. I know that the word fresh eyes was being thrown at Mr. Cumming, and I don't see anything wrong with that. We have people who were appointed. Their time was up. It's time to, look and see if there's other people interested to be given that same opportunity to make a difference in the town they call home. A comment was made that I think is really kind of missing the mark. They're still residents, and there was nothing to support or indicate that they would support multi-dwellings based on their backgrounds. So that comment was being made by Mr. Udina. I'm sorry, but I have to respectfully disagree. Nothing at all in any way says that they would support multi-dwellings or anything, support contractors coming in. So that statement has no real value. As far as I'm concerned, that's not fair. But that's what I
agree with you.
And I appreciate that people are interested still. It's not easy to volunteer your time for a town and face the music and all that we do. And I applaud those who are still willing to do that. So I thank you for the zoning people the incumbents who left, you did a great job. Thank you. And when their time is up, the next people that are up, if there's more people interested, it'll be their turn. So there was no ill toward, undermining stuff going on there. So I wish that would stop. The other thing I want to talk about is Cherry Field. To be extremely transparent, I was trying to look at it when the mayor, and I apologize, Mayor, we gave you a lot of extra work and wasted a lot of time. We did put pressure on the mayor, a couple of council people and I, saying that we didn't want to rent the space. We wanted to, find something that we already own, thinking that we'd be saving money for the town. So we did have the best interest of the town, although we didn't have the full picture. So I did hear from some of the residents. They called me. I went down myself alone to see the space at Cherry Field, and I don't think I truly understood the impact it would have on the livelihoods of the people who live in that area. Although my children too use Cherry Field for recreation, I don't think that, they come, they go, they play their game, they leave, living in it all day long, seeing the results of our decision and the pressure we put on the mayor, what that would do to them. made me think differently of the decision. So that was not the mayor, that was the council, 3 of us, who were saying to use land, town-owned land prior to having this information, seeing it firsthand. So my apologies on that. And then background checks. I have been asking Mr. Tovo to find out how we can get this done. And I do think, to answer Mr. Ullman's question, I do think that it should extend to all adult volunteers. That's my personal opinion. We shouldn't be, splitting hairs. This one it applies to, this one it doesn't. It's all adult volunteers, in my opinion. That's what I'm in support of. And then ultimately, I think Mr. Ullman not Mr. Ullman. Yes, it was Mr. Ullman. He made an excellent suggestion about the utility company. I've seen them chop down and massacre basic, trees, and then they're just left there vulnerable for the next storm to come down. I know you have to cut them around wires, but maybe the green team can have we can develop some kind of understanding or guidelines for the utility companies to follow before they just go and hack away at the trees, making them vulnerable and weak for the next big storm, or just to look awful, like he said, a long piece of broccoli, I think he said it looked like. But that's it, really. That's all I have.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Tovo, did you have, I forgot to go back to you after Mr. Calamari. Did you have any comments?
Yes, ma'am, I did. The first caller commented on the condition of Lafayette Avenue. We have currently charged our engineer to work with Westwood's engineer for an NJDOT repaving grant for that roadway. So if we're successful in that, we should have funding sometime later in 21, with the hopes that maybe we can get a late paving project in the fall of 21. If not, it will be the spring of 22. To expand on the background check question brought by Mr. Ullman, we have entered into an agreement with JDL. They are the company that services the USA Baseball, $25 per person, and it was discussed with them that it would be all volunteers that have any supervisory or oversight of those under the age of 18, and does include a nationwide sex offender registry search.
Thank you, Mr. Tovo. Councilman Casio.
Yes, somehow I got cut off just now on the phone line, and I don't know what's going on, but this seems to be happening a lot, and I'm really getting annoyed at it with Ninja. So I don't know what's going on. You can try
the web version.
But I am going to be making a complaint, because every time I want to be recognized, there's always a technical issue. So that's my first comment. My second comment regarding the placement of the DPW down at Sherry Field and on town properties. As hopefully the residents know, that wasn't our first intention. We tried to go out to other municipalities, because that's usually how, when one town has an issue with land and storage, we usually go out. We did contact Westwood. We were told that they weren't interested. We also contacted Paramus, who were told that we weren't interested as well, and other surrounding towns. And that's how we determined to try and use some of the lands that we have. My first option would still be go out to those other municipalities to use their facilities. Whether it costs us a little bit or not, it's probably well worth it at this point. And our other option was using lands. Now, we talked about these structures being temporary. I hope if we do go and use our own lands to make sure they're temporary, and I think we were assured by the administration that would be the case. And we also talked about having impervious surfaces, which we discussed earlier, as Mr. Tovo said, by the doghouse. In regards to 450 Pascack, no one wants to see a big development come in. And I'm hoping that our new members on the zoning board and the planning board have that same feeling. And I'm sure, and I'm hoping that they would keep the character of the town. I've been here all my life, minus about 8 years when I went to college, and I don't like to see it change as much as it has. So I think we have to keep the feel of the town as much as we possibly can. In regards to Mr. Ullman's request about the background checks, I did forward Ms. Morgan some information on AAU doing background checks. That would be a low cost that everyone could utilize. You know, they're a good resource, but I do hope we put that in force. Regarding the cutting down of trees in the township, yes, everyone needs a permit, and everyone needs an arborist certification, or the town engineer or someone from the administration would come out and see if that tree actually needs to be cut down, and they should be replaced. I'm hoping, from what Mr. Sears said, those persons that cut down trees that weren't on their survey and they weren't permitted to do, those persons would be fined. That ordinance is pretty strong. We spent a long time on it. It just has to be enforced, and that's the role of the administration. And I'm sure that people are going to be, I shouldn't say fined, but it's going to be looked into. I hope the mayor would take that upon himself to find out what's going on. There does seem to be a lot of trees being cut down on weekends. Why that is, I don't know, but I do notice it. And I think that's all I have at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councilman Cummings.
Yes, ma'am. I think because more than one person, I believe, and my notes are, it's difficult to take notes on when people call in, but I wanted to say a couple of things about the zoning board appointments, because a couple of things have come to mind. Number one, you know, that their terms of these people, the terms were up, and we did keep one incumbent who was stellar, and in that regard, it was difficult, but I think I was the spokesman, although I was not alone, because other people voted yay or yes. But I happened to use the expression fresh eyes, which worked at the time. I am extremely concerned with maintaining the residential character of our township, which we all love dearly. And strict adherence to the master plan is very important. The protection of trees. I'm not going to go over this again. We don't want to be here until 2 o'clock in the morning. But I am the biggest tree hugger because I'm a certificated tree hugger on the council. I have the degree. So protection of the trees, promotion of open space and parkland is going to be more important as it is in any growing community. Strict adherence to our zoning laws just mentioned. And all the things that were mentioned by the speakers tonight, I agree with so much. And I'm very grateful that the mayor could drive for me when my foot had been operated on a couple of days before, and he was kind enough to take me down to the field so that we could discuss together and see the leaves and so on at Cherry. I think that the new appointees to the zoning board will be aggressive in advancing these goals for us. No one was fired from the zoning board. Their terms expired, just like when older members were replaced by Mr. Getz and Mrs. Grimaldi. And we thank them for their service because they have done an excellent job. But new people also are available and have time and are willing to give of their time, which is grand, it's marvelous, and dedication to the township and the preservation of the residential character of our township, which I think we all vie for who loves it the most, but that's what it's all about. And that's what I was concerned with conveying. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Councilman Cummings. Councilman DeSena.
Thank you, Mrs. Feeney. A few things, and just to just go back to what Mrs. Morgan said, you know, in October, the mayor, myself, and Mr. Cumming was supposed to meet at Cherry Field to go over the possibility of utilizing that, and that meeting was canceled by the mayor and was never rescheduled. And then our council president hosted a meeting with the residents there without, you know, the rest of the council was not advised of that. And
I did not host a meeting. I'm sorry. I did not call a meeting, and I did not host a meeting. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That is not.
It's my turn to talk, Stacey. You can let me finish. Let me finish. It's my turn to talk. It's my turn to talk.
The truth. Please keep it to the truth.
So we had a meeting. So the residents asked me to come down on Saturday. We met, and we were told that they were seeing a plan by Boswell, which I, as a councilman, still have not seen that plan by Boswell. I don't know about the rest of the council, but I still have not seen that plan. I'm glad the residents got to see it because I still haven't seen it. Mr. Arroyo, the mayor of Westwood, and the council that attended the meeting said that they were never informed of our need to host the DPW there. And Mayor Arroyo promised me he would speak to Mr. Calamari. All three of us were standing there, and that they would be more than willing to accept our DPW at their location and make it work. So that was my number one choice since day one, was to use Westwood or a surrounding town for a temporary basis. So we didn't have to build any structures or utilize any township taxpayer funds to build these temporary structures. And I was also in favor of putting the two sheds at the former Red House on Washington Avenue, which is where the DPW used to use the garages, because we used to rent the house out, but we did not rent the garages out. The DPW used to use those garages for storage. So I asked, why can't we put the storage sheds there? The leaf piles, 3 years ago, the former council sat here and we asked the administration to look at different methods of composting. It's on the record. You can look up the meetings. We talked about not putting the leaves at Cherry and coming up with different alternatives. I'm glad it's an election year, so we're going to look at it. The 450 Pascack Road, I welcome Mr. Pollar's comments, because to date, since the last meeting, we have not heard anything. I thank Mr. Sears that for his presentation. I hope Mr. Cumming takes up the fight. Last year, while I served on the planning board, we asked for an entire year where the status of the fines were for the Hudson Street cut down and the Ridgewood Road cut downs, and we never received any information. So I hope that Mr. Cumming takes up that plight and we find out how all those trees got cut without any permits, without any trees. So I hope he takes that up. To Mr. Ullman's comment about the firehouse status, I cannot give a status on the firehouse because I am no longer invited. I was on the committee, but I was removed and not told so. So it's fine. It's not an issue. What else do we have? I have my notes. It's very hard, like Mr. Cummings said, to keep notes on everything that's said. The smell of the leaves is a quality of life issue. I was down there today before the meeting. The smell is disgusting. I feel sorry for the people that live there. We need to do something. The DEP does say it's 2 weeks maximum. We are well over 2 weeks down there. It's months and months. 2 years ago, I asked the administration to look at a discretionary aid grant from the DOT local aid department to pave Lafayette, and was told it was being looked at because Boswell were both our engineers. I'm glad that's being done finally. And that's all I have to say, Mrs. Feeney.
Yes, I just want to clarify a few points. Thank you very much, Mr. DeSena, for bringing up some points that need to be clarified. I want to let the public know that on January 7th, the entire council received an email from the resident at 107 Cosmo saying that the mayor was going to meet them at Cherry Field. I did not call, host, or publicize a meeting at Cherry Field. I also want to reiterate that the administration did a phenomenal job bringing several, and I'm talking more than 10 options to the council, including Bethany and other locations around, to put the temporary DPW. And as stated so transparently by a few members on this council, they told the truth about what was going on, and I think that needs to be said. I think it.
Are you saying I did not tell the
I'm
truth?
sorry, Councilman DeSena, but now I'm speaking. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
So I think what happens is we need to be completely transparent for the public because.
Yes, Ms. Feeney, you do have to be transparent because you're the most intransparent person I've ever met.
Okay, I don't know how that's possible. Everything I've said, I've completely done. I'm sorry that you feel that what I'm saying goes against what you've said. However, I have been completely transparent and honest about everything I've done. I did not host a meeting. I want to be crystal clear about that.
Stace, I just want to let everyone know, and I'm sure there was a couple residents who had called me on my cell phone and told me what was, how they were feeling and what was going on. So after work, I went down personally. I did not know that you guys had met, that you went down there. I was not invited. There was no secret council meeting down at the field. And the residents who are watching, who did call me, can attest to that I was called on the cell phone. They told me that the mayor had been down there. I wanted to see what they were really talking about rather than just hearing about it, seeing the landscape and understanding where their house sits compared to where we were going to put the shed. So there was no secret meeting that only certain council members went to, at least nothing that I was aware of. But.
Right. And you can all see your email again. If it needs to be public, that's fine, on January 7th, where the residents informed us of what was going on. So I just want to be crystal clear that there is nothing secret or no private meetings happening. So we'll just move on with the meeting for the evening.
Stacy?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Power, I skipped you.
Yeah, it's okay, no problem. I thought I might comment on a couple things that were raised. Some people did ask some questions. I thought I might comment on those, okay? So, number one, on 450 Pascack, and I said this at the last meeting too, that I said I would talk to the planner, not the planning board. I want to make that clear. This is the second time somebody's mentioned about the planning board. I would not talk to the planning board. I have no authority to talk to the planning board. I said I would talk to the planner. I have talked to the planner at length, talked to the mayor. We will, as the mayor said, there's going to be a discussion in closed session. There are some options, and the mayor will present it. And but it was the planner, not the planning board, that I did speak with. On the Mr. Ullman asked for some clarification on the tax issue with respect to the property, the Viviano property. So it is true. I did pull the resolution, or asked it to be pulled, for several reasons. First of all, somebody made the remark at a public meeting that they couldn't believe that the taxes were paid. So I thought that was an interesting comment, if there was any factual foundation to that. So I contacted the tax collector, and the taxes were paid. The remark was totally wrong. It was paid based on an estimated tax bill. You all get your tax bills, as you know, which includes not only the current year, but includes the 2 quarters of the following year. So it was an estimated payment. It was made. It was $12,000, and it was made. Now, the tax assessor is the party who determines whether something is a farmland or not a farmland, qualification and things of that nature. And I know there's some questions about that, and I'll get to that in a second. But I also wanted to find out if there was a possibility of taking a look at that tax refund and possibly not giving the refund now if I could convince the owner of the property, or the attorney for the owner of the property, that there were some alternatives to that. And I did explore a couple with him, and I do have something to present. But I just want to make it clear that it is their money. It's $12,000. It's not town money. We're not giving up money that's our money. This is these are extra taxes that were paid over and above what should have been paid under the farmland assessment. Now, I know that the tax assessor has been taking a little bit of heat, I suppose. What the tax assessor is doing, and bringing him in and telling him what he has to do and what he doesn't have to do. And I just want to read something about what a tax assessor is from the state tax assessor's manual, so that everybody understands what a tax assessor is. All right, it's not that long. I just want to read it. The assessor occupies a unique position within the framework of local government. Assessors, though selected and appointed by municipal officials, are public officers whose duties are imposed by and defined in state law. When assessing property for taxation, the assessor performs a governmental function as an agent of the legislature. The position of tax assessor takes on a judicial quality in determining taxability and assessments of property. In discharging these duties, an assessor is not subject to the control of a municipality. The intent is that assessors, like judges, should be free to perform their duties without fear of local retaliation and should be immune from pressure and harassment. I'm just reading that just to give you an idea of what an assessor is, what his relationship is. I don't want to say it's, if you take a look at, say, a municipal judge, he is appointed by the municipality, but his obligations and his responsibility and his reporting duties is really not to the municipality. So I just wanted to kind of just get that out there, just for general information, because I know there's been a lot of talk about that, okay? As I said before, I am going to be talking about some alternatives about those taxes. But again, those are monies that are refundable to the property owner. I did want to mention the thing just about the tree ordinance that Dr. Cassio did mention. I agree with him that we spent, years ago when this ordinance was put into effect, there was a lot of time put into that. As Dr. Cassio knows, there was a committee, there was investigation, there were other towns looked at, and there's a lot of meat on the ordinance. I have no problem, updating the ordinance, putting extra things into the ordinance. I think it's a great thing. Trees should be protected, and I'm certainly willing to, explore that and stuff like that. But there is a lot of things in that tree ordinance. I think you'll find that builders tend to quickly come in on a Saturday and take down trees. They just do it. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. I see Mr. DeSantis shaking his head yes, because I think he knows that does happen, right? And it's always a catch-up, unfortunately, even if you have a good code official. It's a catch-up, but to try and stop that. But no problem with trying to come up with, some changes to the ordinance. And as a matter of fact, if the Green Team wants to, suggest any changes or suggest any modifications, I'm sure that the mayor and the council would be receptive to that. I think those were the only things that had to do with me.
Thank you,
May I, for a moment? We had the same problem in my previous employment, and the contractors are well aware that the town employees, the code officials, are not employed to work on Saturdays. So they'll run in and cut some trees and run out. What the residents, the only thing we came to, and it's not the perfect answer, is the residents call the police, and if permits are given out, the permits are posted at the house or on hand or whatever. But we need to look into this some more. Thank you, Mr. Poller.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Poller. Mr. Mayor, there was one other follow-up question. Mr. Casada wanted to know about the bocce ball court at Senior Park. I'm not sure if either you or Mr. Tobel can answer if this was approved or what status this is in.
I'll answer it quickly to say we have a new recreation coordinator who started January 1st. And he has mentioned to me that he's looking at that because he recognizes that there is a need for it. So he's looking at a lot of things, again, with I say he brings a fresh set of eyes. So it has not been forgotten about. It is active on his radar. And if I may say, while I have the floor, I'm not sure why Councilman DeSena had to inform the residents that this is an election year. But that should be telling that he felt it necessary to bring that out. So, yeah, I do my job every day. I'm not worried about election yet.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be moving on with the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor, for comments. Thank you, Mr. Power, Council Administration, everybody. Okay. Ordinance, second reading, none. Introduction, first reading, none. Resolutions and consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Does anybody want to have any of the below consent agenda items removed for discussion?
We have the bill list removed, please.
Sure. Anybody else or no? Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Okay. Resolution number 21-135, authorized refund of engineering escrow monies, B2507.01, L11 43 Gabriel Way, in the amount of $34. Resolution number 21-136, authorized refund of engineering escrow monies, B4309, L1 421 Walnut Street, in the total amount of $807.25. Authorized refund of engineering escrow money, B4421 L21343 Calvin Street, in the total amount of $501.25. Authorized refund of permit fee to the Boy Scouts of America for the use of the senior center due to the pandemic, in the total amount of $150. It's resolution number 21-138. Resolution number 21-139, authorized refund of engineering and soil movement fees, B2322 L5 411 Hoover Avenue, in the amount not to exceed total $327.75. Resolution number 21-140, authorize the Township Administrator to advertise a request for qualifications in a municipal grant writer. Resolution number 21-141, authorize the Township Administrator to advertise requests for qualification for architectural services. Resolution number 21-142, authorize the Township Administrator to advertise for bids for recycling and curbside collection. Resolution number 21-143, authorize the Township Administrator to advertise for bids for disposal of vegetative waste. Resolution number 21-144, authorize discharge of 1983 Developers Agreement 620 Pascack Road, B2201L1. Resolution number 21-145, authorize discharge of 291 Developers Agreement 620 Pascack Road, B2201L1. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mrs. Feeney, can we just have Ken, I'm sorry, I wanted to pull 144 and 145 to just have Ken explain what the developers agreements had then that they don't have now. I apologize.
Well, is he prepared for that?
Well, I can talk about him.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't flip the page when I asked you to take the bill list off. So if we could pull 144 and 145, if the rest of the council could have,
Okay, resolution number 21-146, authorized agreement with BCUA Certified Recycling Professional to prepare annual recycling tonnage report. Annual recycling tonnage report. Sorry, my glasses are broken. Sorry, I did break my glasses, just so you know. I dropped them. Okay, so we're going to approve the consent agenda. So just so everyone is clear, so there's no confusion. It's resolution 21-135, 21-136, 21-137, 21-138, 21-139, 21-140, 21-141, 21-142, 21-143, 21-146. Motion to approve consent agenda resolutions. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's start with the bill list. Resolution number 21-134, authorized payment of bills December 17, 2020 to January 14, 2021. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, discussion?
Second.
Just if you could just let us know, Councilman DeSena, which page we're starting on, so we're all on the same page, and which section, whether it's going to be the purchase order listing or the payment listing.
It's the main purchase order listing, please, by PO number.
Okay, and what page?
Page 3.
Is everybody on the same page?
Okay.
Okay, Councilman DeSena, which one?
Page 3 for Robbie Conley Architects. We have two charges, one for postage for 1,023, and one for permit docs, 1,496. Mr. Tovo, could you explain what those are for?
I would have to double check those. Those came in a while ago. They were late being paid. The postage was for the, as I recall, the mailing of the documents for the bid specs and the plans to the state and the permit docs. I will check on that one for you.
Because shouldn't is that you said mail for the state or mail to the recipients of the bids? Because shouldn't the planned bid set price have covered that cost? And we should be using that budget that we collected to pay for that?
Yeah, as I said, I do not believe it was to the recipients. It was his requirement to mail it out that incurred that cost, but I will verify that too, if you like. Like I said, these are two older bills that kind of got lost in his shuffle.
Okay. On page 5, another invoice for SCS contracting for paving and handicap paving for $27,030, and it's for various roadway improvements for 1917. What was that for?
That was for the paving of the parking lot at Memorial Field. It was originally charged there until we get reimbursed from the county for the grant that we applied for.
So is that the reimbursement or is that the actual payment?
That's the actual payment. We're still waiting on reimbursement. Everything has been submitted to them for that reimbursement.
All right. On the same page, on page 5, we have 2 Boswell Engineering for the road program. These 2 billings put us over 70, and then on the following page, on page 6, there's 2 more. One more for Boswell for road paving. Our road paving program cost us over approximately $80,000. It's more than 10% of what we paid the contractor to pave the streets. Has anybody, I asked for the reports last meeting, which I haven't received to date.
Only 3 of them are for road program. The other one's various improvements. Only 3 of those Boswell say road.
It says road program 1806, various improvements 1704, and the other one is various improvements road ADA grant.
Right, but the other one doesn't say road. Okay.
Okay, so take the 6,000. We've spent over 10% of what we paved roads to Boswell for inspection for a mill and fill project. I asked last meeting, when we asked for the backup, we were going to get it provided. I still haven't received it for the last meeting. Can I have it for this meeting? Can I have it for the last meeting and this meeting, Mr. Tova?
Well, just to clarify, I did request that information from Boswell. As far as the detailed inspection reports, I have not yet received it. These bills reflect about 10% of the overall cost of the paving once everything is paid, which we all know is about the norm for engineering and inspections.
The township has never spent that much on our road program in the past. So if we look at the past years, we've never spent that kind of money.
I think you would agree, Mr. DeSena, that most towns run around that cost, about 10% for a road project.
Not on mill and fill projects. That would be for a full rebuild where we're, ripping the whole street out. So that's why I'm asking.
I respectfully disagree.
That's fine.
Well, why don't we get the documents that why don't we get Mr. DeSena the documents and then we'll put this to rest. I think that would be.
And once I receive that, I will have it to the council.
Great. Thank you so much.
On page 7, environmental renewal. That's who we hired to take the leaves out of Sherry Field, Mr. Tova?
That's correct.
So what does he bill us per day? Like it's got.
I'm sorry, it's not by day, it's by load.
Okay, so those are the, so each one of those days he took out different amount of loads. That's why it's different amounts, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. On page 9, I think we have a mischarge. Whalen and Ives, which I know is Mr. Cummings' favorite company for his energy management and his buildings.
No, it's not. Wrong one.
Oh, that's the wrong one. All right. No. We charged it to DMF radio expense and equipment purchases. Did that get coded wrong, Mr. Tova?
I would check with the CFO on that.
All right. Can we make sure that's coded correctly?
Yes.
Because I don't know why they would have a radio expense.
Well, if you look below it, there's another one for an equipment charge, so maybe it's programming for radios, because if you look below, it says well and it's equipment expense, so it could be
No, but
related
the
to
radio
that.
one is the one I'm concerned with, because they shouldn't have nothing to do with radios, but I just want to see if that's coded correctly. That's all I have, Mrs. Feeney.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions on the bill list?
No.
Okay, Mr. Powell, you're up. Could you please go to 144 and 145?
Don't you want to take a vote on the bill list?
Yeah, we could do that. That's fine.
Yeah, because you had a motion, a second, and I had discussion, so you should take a vote on that first.
Sure. That sounds like a plan. Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Cumming,
Yes.
Councilman DeSena. Excuse me?
Yes.
Sorry. Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. Motion for, I'm going to do the next two in one. Motion to approve consent agenda resolutions, resolution number 21-144, authorized discharge of 1983 developers agreement, 620 Pascack Road, B2201L1, resolution number 21-145, authorized discharge of 1991 developers agreement, 620 Pascack Road, B2201L1. I'll make a motion. I need a second, please.
I'll
I
second.
thought we were going to talk about it. Mr. Fowler was.
Mr. Fowler, you're up now for discussion.
Okay, all right. Let me explain what this is, the developers agreement. Okay, so when a project is approved by one of the boards, particularly, if there's site work and things of that nature, there's a lot of things that are done, resolutions, there's this, there's that. But one of the things that happens also is there's a developers agreement where the developer enters into an agreement with the town to perform all of the things that were approved. It creates contractual obligations on the developer, gives them control to more control to the town as a whole, creates this ability of the town to actually take action too, because now you got the town involved as a party as well. It also prescribes usually the performance guarantees in there as well. So there are two developers agreements on the property at 620 Pascack Road, which is the site of the Racket Club. Now, if you take a look at the years, 1983, that's about 40 years ago, and 1991, that's about 30 years ago. And those developer agreements did have to do with the Racket Club that was built there, and probably an addition or work that was done thereafter. And so those documents are actually recorded so that they really can't sell the property without the town, being involved a little bit.
And you're freezing.
So that everything has been performed. What?
You're
freezing?
Yeah, you're freezing.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Am I okay now?
Yep.
No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So these developer agreements are a matter of public record. And when somebody is buying a property and developing that property, they'll do a title search. And the title company picks up these developer agreements. And so the buyer of the property requires, as the title company requires, that these developer agreements be discharged of record because they're kind of a lien or encumbrance on the property. So the people at the location at 620 Pascack Road, there was an approval in favor of CSH Pascack LLC for an assisted living facility. That was the approval was given for that. And so now I guess they're getting ready to close the title to it. And so the request has been made to discharge the developer agreement, both of them, the 83 agreement and the 91 agreement. Both of those agreements have been fully performed. There's no more oversight. There's nothing to do with the Racket Club or anything like that. There will be a new developers agreement for this new project, and the same thing will happen. That will get recorded as well. So this is the formal action to approve the filing of discharges, which is a document that the mayor would sign on behalf of the municipality. It then gets recorded at the clerk's office, and then the title company can take that off as an exception to the title, and they'll be able to close. So it is our obligation to discharge it. There is no reason to keep it, and there's no legal authority to continue it, actually. But everything's been done, and it's just kind of a ministerial function at this point from the council's point of view.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fowler.
Okay.
That was a very thorough explanation.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Okay. Sue, roll call, please. Oh, does anybody have any questions? Sorry. Okay.
No.
You might be on mute.
Sue, you're on mute. Hello, Sue.
Mute mic. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay. I did not do. Hands on the typing. Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Cumming.
Yes.
Councilman DeSena. Councilman DeSena.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. Okay. Adjournment to conference agenda. May I have a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Break.
Sure. Why don't we take a 5-minute break?
You.
On to conference agenda. Current business, administration. Wait, hold on. Ricky hasn't said he's ready. Hold on. Okay, he's ready. Okay. Project, Mr. Chavo, you're up with Project Tracker.
Thank you, Madam President. Items 1 and 2 on capital projects. Both have been sent back to engineering for a few revisions, but they're very close to completion. No other updates in that section. New vehicles, ladder truck chassis has been ordered. No updates under equipment as of today. Buildings and fields, no updates there as well. Going over to the project side, the second page. As you are all well aware, we have a search underway for a planning and zoning secretary that's moving along very well. We should have that wrapped up by week's end. Grant writer, you received the report in your packet. And just to clarify on the last item here, the paving of county roads, we do have confirmation that Ridgewood will be done in the spring of 21. We were also advised in the same conversation that Pascack will follow thereafter. We just don't have a date.
What about Washington, Mr. Chavo?
No further word on Washington yet. I believe they're going to wait till the intersection is done. Although I disagree with that, I understand the intersection has nothing to do with the remainder of that roadway. I have no response from the county on when that might be done.
Did we ever get reimbursed? Did we get reimbursed on our money?
Yeah, the check is in the mail. I'm not kidding, Mr. DeSena. I was advised by Mr. Connolly that he has signed off on the PO and will be paid shortly.
One other question. Did we hear anything back on the damage we incurred during the storm on Christmas that blew down the dugouts? Anything back on that?
Yes, insurance will cover it. They've already given us an estimated number they will cover. We're just awaiting quotes for those repairs.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tova.
Mr. Tova, regarding the paving, quite a few residents have reached out to me regarding drainage issues they're having with the curb depths or lack of curb on their street. I was wondering if it'd be possible if we could visit some of the roads that were paved by the asphalt company to look at that.
Yeah, first off, that would be an engineering issue. They have to review it first, then go back to the vendor. If you can give me the roads, I will take care of that.
Great. Okay, I will send that to you.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy to see that we have because of the issues we had last year with the someone else, we have a new engineer. I want to, recognize the administration for making the change that was needed to assist our residents. Okay. Anybody have anything else for the project tracker or questions? Okay. So everybody got the grant writers report. Does anybody have any questions? I think he provided some very valuable information in there, and he has some interesting things that he's looking at. I specifically like the $29,000 for the open space municipal park improvement. Anybody else have any other comments on that? There's also the FEMA for 2019 assistance to firefighters. There's quite a few good pieces of information in here. Okay. Ordinances and legislation, library trustee, amend number of members. Mayor Calamari, I believe this is in your report.
Correct, it is. Last year, in reviewing some of the ordinances, it was found that a extra member has been serving on the library board for quite some time. When Laura went back and tried to recap how long, it's well into Rudy's term that this has happened. So we don't know how it happened, but at year end, we cut down the number to 5. Yes, 5. But Laura would like to get it back to the way it was. So she's requested me to ask the council if you will entertain changing the local ordinance to increase it by 1 because she's comfortable with a board that size. So assuming you all are, I would ask Mr. Pollard to draw up a ordinance change for the next meeting.
Mr. Mayor, should we increase it to an odd number, Mr. Mayor, so there's no tie?
Well, there's
What's the question?
I think there's 5 members, and then I think there already is an odd member. Correct, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, there's 5, and then me and the superintendent of schools get a seat on the board automatically. So that's 7. But yeah, Mr. DeSena is correct. If we bring it to 6, that would be 8. Maybe that was the intent at the time. I'll ask Laura. Are you okay?
Okay, should we make it 2? Should we add 2 more seats, Mr. Mayor? Yeah. I'm in favor of adding 2, so this way you can't have a tie. That's all.
I'll ask Laura, and depending on her answer, will you give me or can the authority to change the ordinance either way for next meeting?
I'm okay with 2 if the rest of the council is okay with 2.
Okay.
I have no problem with it.
I think it's a good idea.
It's an odd number.
Yeah.
Well, it's an odd number, that's all. I just don't want to screw you up.
Yeah, I'll let her know. Thank you.
Okay. There's no financials, nothing on the miscellaneous. Mayor Calamari, commuter parking update.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm sad to say I don't have an update. The person that I'm dealing with at the location we're looking at had a COVID issue, so he's been pretty much unreachable since the last meeting. I'm informed that he should be back in action by next Monday, so we'll pick that up then. So I apologize for that.
Sue, can you put this on the next council meeting?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And then I asked for Sherry Field to be put on, but we all spoke about it earlier. I don't have any additional comments. Does anybody else? Okay. And we are going to adjourn to close session.
One more. The 397 Fern Street, the revised agenda.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I missed that.
That's okay.
Do you want to take that, Sue?
Sure. Well, Mr. Pollard's also aware of this.
Yeah.
So Ken, maybe would you rather take the lead since you're the attorney on this one?
Sure, Sue, no problem.
Okay. No worries. I don't want
So, The property on Fern Street, that was the property that we sold, undersized, the property that was behind the other property, and the house was being built there. The contractor is looking to open the street, and it's during the time of the winter time when we don't usually allow that as a matter of course. And then the procedure is basically to, come before the council and ask for permission. We did ask the engineer to just comment on it. He did. He filed a report on it. He basically said that, we did follow our protocol, notified PSE&G, of the time period when the application was, not being seasonal. And he basically is recommending that you give the approval subject to them doing their inspections and the contractor paying, the fees. I think that's what he said in his report. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm okay with that if that's what they're recommending. Yeah.
Can we make a motion to approve 397 Farm to open up the street?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
And how are they repaving it? They're doing repaving or no?
Yes, is that in his report? Does anybody have this report handy?
I'm reading it now.
Yeah. It's not one of the things I have up on my computer here.
Mr. Pollard?
Yeah.
Is that a curb?
That will be repaved and inspected by Boswell Engineering.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was what he had in his report.
Yeah, we don't have the report, Mr. Pollard.
Oh, I'm sorry. No?
No.
It was there. It was I sent it to.
It's not in our packet.
No,
Santa.
What's that?
I said, oh, Mr. DeSena. Let me.
I don't have it.
It's right here. I have it.
I'm glad you have it, Mrs. Wachowski, because we don't.
I'll send it to you. Let's see. It says.
I'm okay with making a motion to let 397 open up Fern.
Okay, but Mike, my question is when they open it up, is that a curb-to-curb redo?
Well,
That's what our ordinance requires. So I'm hoping Bob will make it.
It says in here the office.
As long as it's curb-to-curb, I'm okay with it.
This says this office performs full-time or similar inspection of the road opening and restoration work and is fully compensated through an escrow account established by the owner applicant with the township. The owner applicant informs this office 48 hours prior to the commencement of work. Yada, 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 yo. And it does not say curb to curb on here.
Yeah, but it references the ordinance too, which is if that's what's in the ordinance, then that's what it would be, right?
Yes.
I would like them to specifically point out that they'll follow the ordinance because we have a lot of ordinances on the books that obviously aren't being enforced. So I want to make sure the engineer enforces the curb to curb. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let's check and see if it's a curb to curb.
When you're going to send out the resolution, just notify John Yakimic, that's all.
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to vote on opening 397.
Yes.
Okay, I'll second. Let's do roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Council President Feeney?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution number 21-147, property acquisition, property lease, litigation, condemnation, litigation, cedar, smoke shop, motion to enter into closed session. I'll make a motion. I need a second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are we coming back, Stacy?
I don't believe we're coming back. I'm just going to check with the mayor and Mr. Pollard once we're off. We're here, we off?
Yeah, but you should make that statement if you're coming back before we go off.
Why? Okay, so are we coming? I don't think we're coming back. I don't have anything that says we're coming back. We're not coming back. So Ricky, you can come down and shut everything off and head home.